Hi there, Mark. Thank you for joining us. We're here to talk about how do journeys help create alignment. So would you like to just explain the experience with journeys and alignment?
Yeah, Lorna, great to chat around this because it's an important topic. I think for me, one of the challenges that lots of organizations face is actually how do they get alignment between different departments and different functions? So often one of the things we hear is, sales don't understand operations, operations don't understand marketing. And that's a real difficulty when it comes to how do you then serve the customer? Because the customer actually doesn't care whether they're in sales or operations or marketing or product development, whatever. Yeah. What the customer wants is a smooth way of doing business, of achieving what they wanted to achieve. And so what you've got on one hand is the challenge that organizations have of being organized around a particular way, and you've got a customer challenge in terms of how they want to go through and engage with an organization. And at the heart of that is alignment. So one of the ways of driving alignment or helping to drive alignment in an organization is to actually use customer journey maps. What a customer journey map does is it typically outlines the activities that your customer wants to do to get the job that they want to do done. So if you think about that, that may well cross different parts of your organization. They might engage with you on your website to start with. They might then speak to somebody. They might then want to download some content. They may then want to speak to somebody else. They may then purchase and buy that product, receive that product, and start using that product and provide you with some feedback around it. All of these different points that they have are part of their journey that they're having with you as an organization. And one of the things that needs to happen for me is that organizations, when they start to understand that actually, if we look at how the customer's journey actually is occurring, then what we see is that that goes across the different departments that we've got within the organization. And so if you think about that for a minute, then by bringing people together who have one bit of the jigsaw, they see their bit in terms of, well, I own the website, and I understand how customers engage with me. Or I own logistics, so I understand how we send packages to customers. Or I own the feedback process, so I understand. If you bring them together and you actually look at it from a customer's perspective, then what you're starting to do is starting to see, actually, if I look left and I look right, along that journey, I start to understand everything that's happening. And what that starts to do is it starts to build alignment because it builds understanding and it builds an appreciation of what's happening at different parts of that journey.
How do you think companies can leverage, the concept of journeys and to create the alignment?
So I think lots of organizations use customer journeys and they hold mapping workshops as an example. So they'll bring together 4, 5, 6 different people from across the organization, and they will actually start to map that activity that the customer goes through. I think what that starts to do is it starts to put on one sheet of paper all the different perspectives, all the different experiences that are happening. Where it starts to drive alignment is that's great within a group of 5 or 6, but then if you think about, well, what I want to do is I actually want to now enrich that with some data. So what I want to do is to understand the performance. So maybe you invite some other people in who actually understand what's going on in those specific areas of the journey, and they start to add the performance data. And as they add the performance data, they're also seeing what's happening across the journey. And then as you build that, then often what we see organizations doing is then developing a visual, a way of communicating that journey. So it helps in terms of engaging, no matter where you sit in the organization, this is the journey that our customers are going through. And when you start to communicate and engage around that, there's what we call, or what I would call the aha moments, where people start to realize, okay, I see why this is happening. I see why this is causing frustration. I see how this delights our customers when we do this around it. So people start to get a much greater appreciation in terms of what's happening across that journey.
I guess that really helps with understanding and kind of it resonating with people, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I get it. We all learn in different ways, but actually to see something visual and to see it from a customer's perspective. And I would always encourage organizations when they're thinking about this is to actually make the customer real. So use a persona. Yeah, so actually develop a needs-based persona. And that could be somebody called Lorna or somebody called Mark. Yeah, but I mean, it typifies a customer and it shows the journey that they want to have as they want to carry out their activities with your organization. So always think about these journeys from your customer's perspective as well, because that helps in terms of driving alignment around it too. So it's not an inside out view, it's actually an outside in. Yeah, it's the view from the customer.
And we've seen it in action. We've seen how organizations build these personas, and then all of a sudden, like across the business, people are like, oh yeah, I know Christina, I know Chris, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And they're using it throughout, and it's long standing.
That's right, because it brings it to life. It makes it real for folks. Yeah. So, it takes it off the paper, doesn't it? Yeah. So all of a sudden we're talking about people who we can identify with, yeah, who we recognize as prospects or customers, yeah, in the organization. And, at the end of the day, each of us wants to do the right thing for our customers. And so, if I can understand the totality of what's happening and how I play a pivotal role in influencing the experience that those customers have, well, that's great because I'm then motivated to go and do that. Yeah, I want to do the right thing by our customers.
And do you think that companies also take this similar approach with aligning customer journeys with their partners as well?
Yes, is the answer to that, Lorna. Although too few do. I mean, it's already a challenge to try and get alignment across, your own organization. But when you then step out, we're in the holiday season here. So maybe the example to think about is an airport. I remember the last time I was there, and it didn't feel as though it was a joined up experience. I arrive and park at the airport. I then go to a check-in desk and leave my luggage. I then progress through security. I then get into the retail environment. I then board the plane. And all of those are actually managed, or many of those are managed by different organizations. And it doesn't feel as though that's a consistent experience that's happening as I go through that. And so, think about, you could take that as a journey. I mean, I'm going on holiday, I'm traveling on business, and actually with partners start to think, well, how could we create a great airport experience? Some airports are doing that exceptionally well, but others are struggling. And I think that highlights just the challenge of, yes, absolutely, you could be doing this with partners and suppliers. It's just that one step harder than it is doing it internally. When you recognize that actually your customer's journey isn't only delivered by you as an organization, you deliver a part of that journey. Yeah. So back to the airport example. Yeah. If I'm the airport authority, I do part of that journey. And so what I want to make sure is that actually that entire journey works for the customer. Yeah. And I know that my partners also want to make sure that that journey works for the customer as well. So we've all got the shared outcome. We just need to have the desire and will to sit down and actually spend some time, understanding that and deliberately designing that journey.
What other ways can they create alignment in the organization?
So we talked a little bit before around sort of communication and engagement. So often journey maps are turned into an engagement tool. Yeah, so you can start to talk about it. I've seen where organizations then tie metrics and measures of success to journeys. So there's clear performance indicators, and measures of success that are there. And if you go back to the airport example, you think about one of the things that might be interesting if I'm traveling on business is speed. Yeah. So I want to be able to efficiently move through that entire journey, of arriving at the airport to being at the gate as quickly as possible. And therefore, that total time, whilst individual companies might look at individual aspects of it, if you were to look at the total time, then what you start to see is, okay, that drives a shared outcome that we want. So I think measures of success are another way, of how to drive alignment.
Do you think that that also, goes into active listening and the persona testing as well?
Yeah, I think that's a great addition, Lorna. I think, yes, I mean, if you think about having a set of shared personas, I mean, that customer, that's transiting through the airport, if we all understand, have a same view of what Chris or Christina's needs are, that helps. And, for me, success measures are part around the metrics that you measure, but also what you listen for. Yeah. So, what is it that people are feeling? What are they saying? Yeah. What are they talking about? So, how are you making them feel as they go through that journey? Are you making them feel that actually you understand that speed and efficiency is really important to them? I remember a few years ago when I was traveling with the family and the children were much younger. And actually, somebody came across to us before we got to security and said, "We've got a special lane dedicated for families." And the relief on my face and my wife's face must have been just, for all to see. Yeah? Because standing there with four young children in a queue, didn't fill me with delight. But you can start to see some organizations, are actually going, okay, we can do this differently. We can recognize that actually you've got a different set of needs, and we'll do something about it. And then when organizations do that, we start talking about it, don't we? Yeah, as individuals, we start saying, wow, well, okay, that was quite different.
What are the business problems you think that these are going to solve, aligning to the customer journey?
If you think about journeys, then for me, what you want to do is to use them to solve particular business problems. If, for example, I was to find that we've got a lot of dropout in our website engagement, so people are engaging in part, they're looking at the products that we have, they might even be putting our products in a basket, but they're not completing that transaction. So what I could do is actually start to really map that journey and understand what is it that's causing people to drop off, to not complete that final purchase, around it. Is there something that we're doing, that is actually creating that, or is there something more that we could do that would just nudge people around it? So, you can translate that into whether it's top line activities, so you're wanting to grow sales, you're wanting to grow revenues, or you could think around things like churn. So why are customers leaving us? Why aren't they purchasing a second time? Or you could think about efficiency. So is there a way where actually we could come together and we could design a journey that actually has less friction for our customers and is more efficient for us to deliver, if that's what's important. So you can always take the business problem, identify the business problem, and then identify what is the journey that your customers are going through, and you can use journeys to tackle those business problems.
How do you think that people can measure the outcomes of the work, that they do on customer journey mapping?
Well, I think I would always start with, how do I measure the business outcome? So what is the business problem that I'm trying to solve? And if I start from that basis and I use journey mapping as a tool to help solve that, or an approach to help solve that, then what I'm doing is I'm always coming back as an organization to think about what's important. Unfortunately, what we see is often organizations map journeys, but they're not actually doing it to solve a particular business problem. They might be doing it to create alignment and understanding. That's interesting, but actually you need to take action. You need to do something about it. And so whether it's improvements in operational metrics, or whether it's a financial improvement that you start to see, or whether you see a customer metrics that are improving around it, or whether you see employees who are more engaged and motivated, because they understand the totality of what's happening, really think about those success measures in terms of the business outcome that you're seeking to achieve, rather than the measures of, I've done 3 journeys or I've mapped 10 journeys. Because that in its own isn't going to drive the change that you're looking for.
And that really comes down to, the customer journey map isn't the outcome. No, that's really a really great conversation, Mark. Do you think that there's anything else around alignment that you'd like to add?
I think that the only thing that I would add, Lorna, is to recognize this isn't easy. We often talk about improving experiences is a team sport, and it requires different people to come together. So I think just recognize that it's going to require a little bit more effort, but you can also do these activities and have a tremendous amount of enjoyment and fun, and actually doing it, and you see the results in terms of tackling business opportunities, which is great. But don't think this is simply a magic wand that you can wave that drives alignment. You need to work at it.
That's great, Mark. Thank you again for joining us.
Okay, talk soon. Bye now.
Bye-bye.